We're coming to you live from River City, California, reporting on law enforcement and leaders that are lacking. We're actually on scene of a traffic stop that just took place. As you can see, we have an officer that's going to be doing a traffic stop on, it looks like a criminal bicyclist. And the point I'm trying to drive home is that we need to continually refine ourselves as leaders in order to survive as an organization. You know, this industry that we're reporting on today has the most precious resource of all, and that's public trust. And it's important for our law enforcement leaders are held to the highest standards. Now, developing leaders through innovation and transformational leadership can help produce more leaders within law enforcement, and it should shift traditional policing from police officers representing an authoritative figure to more of a transparent, public trust building community partnership. And in order to do this through transformational leadership, we're hoping that we can build brave leaders at all levels. If leaders are developed at each level, we're going to gain innovation and change within the department and within the organization itself. Now, we believe that there's a possible shortage in leadership throughout law enforcement, and hopefully if we switch from the traditional hierarchies of authority to more of a community approach, we can get more leaders that are willing to work with us and not necessarily rule us. Now let's see if we can get a statement from this young officer over here. Excuse me, Officer Lopez, what do you think the trick is to developing more leaders in law enforcement?
Transformational leadership.
Awesome. He's right on page with what we've been trying to drive home today. And that's all we have here from River City, USA. And we're going to send it back to you.
Hi, and welcome. My name is Adriana Bustillos, and I will be reporting on the organizational overview of today's law enforcement. Traditional law enforcement agencies are structured by a hierarchical authority reflecting the way most structures were created during the first industrial revolution. With the ever-growing atmosphere of innovation within our society, the traditional police model is proving to face new challenges due to the wavering political climate, escalation of terrorism, new patterns of immigration, and minimized trust for evident that change of leadership and management style within the police organizations is imperative in order to continue to maintain social order and increase the confidence and respect of the populace that has been lost. The entry of the millennial generation or contemporary employee in the workforce and the rise of technology has proved to be challenges that law enforcement agencies are facing as a result of the innovation of the 21st century. This is causing leadership and management to be re-examined. Today, police organizations are comprised of a multi-generational team of people that are responsible for hiring, training, supervising, and managing the millennials that are entering law enforcement. However, these people are having a really hard time throwing out their traditional leadership styles and adapting to the independent, conscientious, and liberal way of thinking that the millennials have today. In addition to having an entirely different mindset than their multi-generational supervisors, millennials are also requiring more training and coaching that instill confidence and motivation for them to realize their goals within the organization. Thus, transformational leadership approaches are necessary for these employees to attain the key attributes for them to be successful. Technology has also posed a difficult challenge for police organizations to meet, as it has constituted many threats for agencies due to the rise of cybercrimes and the strong influence of social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Leaders within law enforcement must demonstrate a distinctive shift in management styles and organizational strategies in order to adapt to the ever-growing change that technology has brought to the organizations, employees, and the areas of crime.
Hi, good evening, audience. This is Shelley. Welcome to my studio, and thank you, Rudy, for bringing us the outdoor live coverage from law enforcement. At present, the two biggest obstacles from law enforcement are technology and new generation. And the message also reflect the abuse of the rights of the law enforcement and police industry. So here we invite the relevant scholar Shane to answer the question. Hi Shane. Shelley, thanks for you inviting me. And the obstacle that law enforcement are facing, as you just said, is exactly exist. In this industry, it's undeniable that we need to keep up with the development of the new technology and adopt advanced equipment, because this is the only way to improve the efficiency of law enforcement. Another point is that the conflict of value of between the old and the new generation is the process of cultural transformation. In short, these 2 points can be summed up as innovation. Transformational leadership needs a background which is innovation. The focus of organizational intervention is to create an atmosphere to support innovation, and at that same time to cultivate the sense of identity of police officer to leaders, which will significantly improve the effectiveness of transformational leadership. Now, for example, law enforcement leaders need to pay more attention to age 14 to 20 young boys or girls want to deal in law enforcement. As for the abuse of power, it requires leaders to have transformational leadership because leaders with transformational leadership style usually have strong value and ideas. And they can successfully motivate employees to surpass their personal interest. That's my point. Okay, thank you, Xueying. Later, Azia will give us the detail of the reporter of the suggestion. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Isaiah Gates reporting live from my dinner table. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys today about our action plan and recommendation. So it is apparent that after doing our research and reading the Metzenberg book that the 2 biggest factors when it comes to change, whether that's through managerial change or that's through leadership change, the 2 biggest factors that law enforcement faces is going to be technology and this sort of quote-unquote new generation of employees. Now, a term that has been developed is called the contemporary employee. Now, what exactly does that mean? So this term has been described to, or has been brought about to describe an employee that brings about lifestyle changes that sort of conflict with old ways of thinking or doing certain things, right? So a way to make sure that we can adapt to this new type of employee is to have activities in which the values of this new generation of this contemporary employee are brought about, so that the leaders within the law enforcement agencies now can learn about them and eventually adapt to them. That is the best way to combat this, so that you have the old and new values that are conflicting with each other, that the more and more that our leaders within the organization can learn these new values, the better and more ways that they can attack that problem head on. The old and traditional way of handling resistance, especially within law enforcement, was implemented through negative connotations like punishment and enforcing regulations, and that unfortunately does not work anymore. So that is the first driver of change within our action plan. The second is going to have to do with technology, right? So as previously discussed, this new generation of employee brings about culture changes or culture shifts, and then a unique set of skills to law enforcement. One of the skills that this new contemporary employee is proficient in is their knowledge of modern-day technology. Technology has, obviously, this is not a secret to anyone, has completely changed our life, especially now in 2019. We can do anything with the phone. It's beginning to make even bigger impacts on law enforcement. Like there is in certain organizations, they have web-based communication systems, and they also hold virtual membership meetings on a virtual roll call, in which officers can obtain pre-shift like briefings through either a text message or an email, which is crazy. And also, so when we go back to the word for Metzenberg, there's a concept that's discussed in the reading that talks about it's a subtopic of a 5-step kind of framework for effectiveness. And the one that I found the most appealing to what we're talking about is the reflective thread. And it talks about a manager that is capable of learning, from past experiences, that is very open-minded and knows how to, retract when something doesn't work. And I think that this is the same action that law enforcement leaders need to take. They need to adapt, just like I talked about before. With technology, they need to adapt and be able to know that we can use technology as our friend, and it can make our work more efficient, and it's a little bit more cost-effective. But like I said, what will be heightened is our efficient work and being able to get stuff done, at a quicker pace. So the more that law enforcement tries to ignore, these changes that are going to keep happening, just the more conflict that's going to set in. So pretty much the gist of this is that leaders need to adapt to new ways of thinking, new ways of doing, and new ways of acting. And that has been Isaiah Gates reporting from My Dinner Table. You have a good rest of your day.
When people hear the words law enforcement, some people feel at ease and some are not. That is a major disservice. Many people feel as though there is a lack of understanding when it comes to law enforcement and the citizens in our society. Today, law enforcement has a tarnished reputation that is in need of major fixing. We live in a time in which the reputation of law enforcement is bruised. It actually seems like history keeps repeating itself over and over. After the case of Botham Jean, the man who was shot in his home watching TV and eating ice cream, it is safe to say that law enforcement needs some new innovation. Every successful leader was once a follower, and not every person is meant to be in a leadership position, regardless if they are or are not. With more millennials entering the workforce, perhaps there will be a transformation and some major innovation in future leadership positions. By implementing mandatory training strategies and enhancing skills they already have, there's a great possibility of change. Having more emotional awareness and listening to the outcries of citizens would be very useful. We live in a very diverse society, and if there are more in-depth diversity trainings that are offered, everyone would be equally represented. Thank you so much.